Alexander the Great, King of Macedonia, who united Greece and conquered the Persian Empire. George Washington, first President of the United States of America, founding father, and Revolutionary War general. One thing both of these men have in common is that they are great figures in history. If you ask someone on the street about these figures, you'll get a response with how they were great, respectively, for their nation. Greatness, according to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, is the quality or state of being great, whether it be in size, skill, achievement, or power. This is a respectable definition, but in my opinion, greatness doesn't just come from excelling in your profession or your skill. You see, using greatness to impact the world that you live on today is just as important as being good at something. This is why the world is still spinning today. Prominent people are stepping up and impacting the world in different ways, if it is in business, politics, or even something so small as sports. So you may ask me, who demonstrates greatness in my eyes? Alexander the Great and George Washington are great examples, but none of them impact me the same way LeBron James does. Because when I think of greatness, the first person that comes to mind is LeBron James. Greatness that no other player can even dream of replicating. He has a tremendous impact not only when playing basketball, but also on his fans and on me as a person. Growing up in poverty, this kid from Akron, Ohio now makes about $90 million from basketball and endorsements every single year. Now, let us switch gears into the story of LeBron. Born on December 30th, 1984, in Akron, Ohio, LeBron Raymond James was son to Gloria James and Anthony McClellan. McClellan was an ex-convict with countless criminal records, and he was not interested in being involved in LeBron nor Gloria's life, so he left them when he was very young. At the time of his birth, Akron, Ohio was filled with poverty and crime. But this did not stop young James to pursue basketball since the age of 9. You see, in high school, he led St. Vincent St. Mary High School to 3 consecutive state titles, and he even led them in his senior year to the highest rank in high school basketball in the nation. He then went on to become the first pick of the 2003 NBA draft. He was selected by the Cleveland Cavaliers, and he took the Cavaliers to the playoffs in 2006 for the first time since 1998. He went to the playoffs 12 more times consecutively with the Cleveland Cavaliers and also the Miami Heat until 2019 when his streak ended. Along the way, he was recovering funds to give back to the city where he came from, and he did in a great way. In 2018, LeBron James opened the doors to a new elementary school in Akron, Ohio titled I Promise School, or IPS for short. Now on paper, IPS may seem like an ordinary elementary school, but it was something much more than that. The school was made to help not only some of Akron's most challenged students with education and support, it also provided educational, career, and emotional support for parents as well. Every student and teacher got their supplies paid for by the LeBron James Foundation, and IPS is a certified STEM school. Just recently in February, LeBron James partnered with Kent State University to provide 4 years of free tuition at Kent State for students at IPS. Saying this is impressive is an understatement. Let's get to what LeBron really is good at, basketball. Currently, LeBron is on the Los Angeles Lakers, who at the time of this talk, the record is 49 wins and 13 losses, the second best in the NBA. LeBron is currently averaging 25 points, 8 rebounds, and 11 assists. In his entire career, he's averaged 27 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists. Pretty phenomenal stats, right? Now, compared to Michael Jordan, his biggest rival, who averaged 30 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists, LeBron overall averaged more rebounds and assists than him. These stats show how much more well-rounded he is than Jordan. Now let us compare him to someone like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who averaged 24 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 assists. Now, he may have more rebounds than LeBron, but that's due to the fact that he's 7 feet 2 inches, a whole 5 inches taller than LeBron. The other stats LeBron has dominated in, but one thing I feel like Kareem has a huge advantage of is in the amount of points scored. Currently, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar holds the NBA record for the amount of points ever scored with 38,387. LeBron is in third, right on Karl Malone's tail with about 34,000, Malone having 36,928. LeBron just recently overtook Kobe Bryant, another legend who gave so much to the game of basketball and recently passed, who had about 33,643. Another thing that Kareem and even Jordan have an advantage of over LeBron is the amount of championships they won. Kareem and Jordan have 6 championships, while LeBron has a measly 3. But I want you to look at this from a different perspective. Think about the competition these 3 men have faced. In the 6 times Kareem won a championship, his toughest competition was either the Celtics or the Pistons, both with medium average teams, none of which who could stop Kareem. Now, when Jordan won his 6 championships, he faced either the Suns, the Lakers, the Trailblazers, the Sonics, or the Jazz. All with pretty good teams, 1 superstar per team. But that's nothing, nothing, to what LeBron has been facing. Because in LeBron's first title run, he went with the Cleveland Cavaliers, whose next best player was Zydrunas Ilgauskas, against the already stacked San Antonio Spurs, with Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, and Tim Duncan, all future Hall of Famers. But that's not all. In 2018, LeBron faced the Golden State Warriors, who had 4 superstar caliber players in Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. And here's a couple more people worth mentioning. Kawhi Leonard, a 5-time All-Star, a 2-time NBA champion, a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, and arguably the best player in the NBA currently. Dwight Howard, a 8-time All-Star, a 5-time All-NBA first-teamer, a 2-time NBA blocks leader, and a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. And how about Russell Westbrook, a 9-time All-Star, a 1-time MVP, a 2-time scoring champion, and over 140 triple-doubles to his name. You can argue that Jordan's competition was tougher, but on paper, LeBron really did have to fight for these 3 championships. Enough about statistics. Let's move on to the number of ways how LeBron impacts his teammates without stats to prove it. For example, he's extremely confident in all of his teammates. He isn't afraid to pass the ball for the better of his team. So no matter strength or weakness, if you're open, LeBron will pass it to you. He's also extremely generous with his teammates. See, in a 2018 playoff game against the Indiana Pacers, LeBron James bought the entire Cleveland Cavaliers team matching Thom Browne suits, worth around $46,000 per suit. The Cleveland Cavaliers had 13 players that year, so if you do the math, that's around $600,000. So you could say being impactful is one of his greatest qualities. His fans feel this impact whether it is for buying one of his shoes or coming to one of his games. And LeBron tries to come to every game. He told Los Angeles Times that it is his obligation as a basketball player to come and entertain all of the fans that came to the game. See, one thing coaches love to do during playoff time is rest players on not so important games. LeBron says to hell with that, because if he's healthy, he will play for his fans. This deep connection with his fans really show how LeBron impacts them. I feel this connection personally as a fan of his. See, if it wasn't for LeBron, I wouldn't have wrote this talk. I would have wrote something that would have been plain and boring to me. LeBron is a huge inspiration to me, whether it is for playing basketball or even just being a great person in general. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be playing AAU basketball. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have the courage to do the things I desire. When I grow up, I want to be as charitable, as fearless, as knowledgeable, and as strong as LeBron James. I could go on and on and on about this man, from the stats he posts on a daily basis, to how he came up from poverty, to him being an impactful force to his teammates and fans. But I only have 10 minutes to speak my heart out, so let's wrap this up. Greatness was destined for him in basketball, on and off the court. The crazy thing being, he's still not retired. In my very honest, humble opinion, LeBron James is the greatest player of all time in basketball, and arguably in all of sports. Alexander the Great and George Washington will happily welcome him into the greatness field, even if it is just for a sport.